These are the Sunday recommendations for my free email list for October the 11th, 2020. My next major project in the realm of aesthetics is a compilation of essays that I've written over the past 25 years on how to analyze paintings. It will be similar to the essays in Getting More Enjoyment from Sculpture You Love. I'll be posting occasionally on issues that arise as I'm working on this compilation. Second recommendation. This is a sculpture by Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, who you will know for the Statue of Liberty. It's a sculpture in Providence, Rhode Island. Imagine seeing this for the first time without knowing who it represents. What do you see? I see a person with an upright bearing, looking into the distance with a slight frown, but pointing ahead as if he'll move onward despite his worries. To my mind, it's about courage. It is, of course, Christopher Columbus, and I actually prefer this version, which was mentioned by Sam Axton on Facebook, to the many Columbuses that are in New York City. The original version of this work was designed by Bartholdi and cast in silver by the Gorham Manufacturing Company of Providence, Rhode Island, as a celebration and a display piece for the 1892 Columbian Exposition in Chicago. On Gorham, I've given you a link to a post on my website, and on the Columbian Exposition, another link. This version in bronze was a gift from the Elmwood Association to the city of Providence, and it was placed in Columbus Square in 1893. When I moved to Connecticut this August, I anticipated being able to see it in person, because Providence is barely an hour away from me. Alas, Columbus was defaced several times in the decade of the 2010s, and in June 2020 it was removed in the wake of the George Floyd protests, hauled off to an unknown storage site. A number of people who would not have had the courage to do what Columbus did stood around and clapped. I've given you an article about that, but don't read it if you have a queasy stomach. But thanks to Wikipedia, I have 2 lovely photos to share with you. Happy Columbus Day. Third recommendation. The recommendation is actually a poem by Rosemary Dobson called Traveller's Tale. Dobson, 1920 to 2012, was an Australian poet. This poem is a tongue-in-cheek retelling of the voyages of discovery. Many thanks to Robert Augustin of Robert Augustin Rare Maps and Prints, a colleague from many years ago, who answered my insatiably curious query about a map that might fit the description in Dobson's poem. The map that he sent me is actually from a 1594 book by Theodore de Brie that's a compilation of many earlier travelers' accounts. Okay, here's the poem. It was confusing, sir, all those damned cherubs hanging in the air, tangling their wings against the mizzen-mast, and then the mermaids. Trouble enough we had, such crowds of creatures tumbling through the waves, the crew agape in round astonishment. And Triton, always blowing up somewhere, sounding his conch-shell trumpet-like at us. And whales that stretched the length of continents and took us 20 days to sail around. And the scrolls, sir, mixed up with the clouds, they made the voyage very troublesome. The same again, sir, thank you very much. You know the pictures, then, the maps and prints? Those were the crowded days for voyaging. The things I've seen, I doubt if you'd believe. But this here jackknife proves I've been around. It slit nearly 30 heathen at the throat. You'll know to feel the edge, sir. That there's Columbus at the Isle of Pearls. I and Columbus, sir, we stride the deck, his name in letters written round his head. The waves like that, all fixed and ribbed with light, the naked Indians in the foreground here, are just as I remember. Thank you, sir. And not a space unfilled. 3 masters, those. I just forget how they got mixed up with the Isle of Pearls, boarding and gunning with their sails square-rigged and puffs of smoke that, staying in the air, blot out a toppling Spaniard but his leg. Aye, that's the Golden Lion, too, with 10 dead Indians swinging at the mast. De Brie's the fellow, sir, that done the prints and got it very accurate. I said to him, "Put in a cherub, Will, to blow the wind," and showed him how to draw the mermaids so, and very lifelike, too. Well, thank you, sir. Yes, the first turning, 30 paces down, that's the best way. You'll not mistake it, sir. One for the road? Your health, then. Down the hatch. The fourth recommendation this week is another short story from Henry Kitchell Webster, from the forthcoming, but not very soon, third volume of Webster's collected short works and related correspondence. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, and my other obsessions. To join the free Sunday Recommendations email list, visit the URL on the screen or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. Thanks so much for listening.